Today we continue our series looking at unconventional, low-cost living options. And we think there's a chance that these could lower our overall annual travel costs. Now, we're booked on a flight, leaving for shores far, far away with new cultures very, very soon. But who knows? Next time we're back in the UK, we may be looking into buying one of these options.
Inflation is a real concern for all of us, whether you own a conventional bricks and mortar home or whether you're world travellers. We think we can calm our inflationary fears by having a refuge here where we can come back to for 1 or 2 months a year should things get really tough out there.
And today we're looking at
motorhomes.
That's right, and we're at the largest motorhome and caravan show in the UK. We're going to look at a few different styles of motorhomes today to see if any of them would work that would enable us to go roam around the UK and Europe for a couple of months each year. See what I did there?
I like what you did there.
That was clever. That took a lot of effort. So come with us. We're going to show you around some of these, and then after we've done it, we're going to look at the costs of doing something like this for a couple of months each year, and also the tangible and intangible benefits. But first, let's see some of these units behind us. This Pilote 626D Evidence, or Evidence, I would imagine if it's French, is £79,000, or for this show model, 79,500. It's got a length of just 620 centimetres, or 6 metres 20, and a load capacity of nearly 700 kilos, so that's known as payload, and that's what you can put in there over and above what's already part of the unit. So let's take a look around on board. Couple of steps up to get in, and you've got a lovely lounge area. Very nice, 3 seats across there, couple of seats across here, and the 2 seats in the front spin round to make a really nice cozy lounge area. Table in the middle here. Nice thing with this table is it moves. It will move around wherever you want it, and it even slides on its position as well, and you can open it up for those rummy cub events that we all have in our life. But you're thinking, that's cool, but where would you sleep? Well, where you would sleep is up here. Reminds me of a book I used to have when I was a kid called Flat Stanley. That would drop down, all the way down to this level here. And because the kitchen is on a higher level, you can just step up into bed, which is pretty cool. And then you've got the kitchen. Kitchen has got an oven and a 2-burner hob, which looks cool, and a sink. Storage here. Storage here, really deep storage in fact, goes way back. A nice big fridge freezer. The freezer isn't big, but you get the idea. So if you get some bills come in, you want to cool them off first, put your toast in the fridge. More storage here, again really deep. This is 6 meters 2 long. This seems so much bigger, but this is the bathroom area. So you've got somewhere to do your business. Lovely sink there as well. But you think, hang on, I want to have a shower. Have a shower. What you do, you press that button there and you move this forward. And there is your shower area, even with a little duckboard area in the bottom. And if you don't want people seeing you having a shower or doing your business, well, you got this concertina door that goes round. Me, I'd use that for videos. I'd be using it for Star Trek type ideas on video. But what do you think? 6 meters 20. This is the kind of van I could fully imagine Sarah and I going for. And actually, if I can find her, let's have a quick word. Sarah? Right, so what do you think? Is this the sort of thing that you could live a couple of months of the year in?
Yes, I could. I like it. It's a good size. We don't want anything too big because of getting round the English countryside and also Europe, Italy particularly.
Yeah, places like Italy wouldn't be great, would it?
It's just nice home comforts inside.
Yeah, it's got everything we'd need. So let's have a little walk around the outside. As I mentioned a moment ago, it's on a Fiat Ducato chassis, and as we go round, there's somewhere for you to fill up with your water. Back there is the cassette area. Now, it might sound like I know what I'm talking about. It's because I used to own motorhome a few years ago, me and Sarah, so I know a bit about the fact that we would have 2 LPG gas bottles here, and on the top here you would probably put your electric cable and water hose, something like that. But the nice thing you could do with this garage, and the clever bit, is in here, as you can see, it's got a door that opens. We would consider travelling around Europe and getting ourselves a cat. So if we had a cat, it could live in the motorhome and we could put the litter tray in the boot and it can hop in and out and do its business. This is literally the first motorhome we've been in at this show, and I'm already thinking, should we put a deposit down? Could you see Sarah and I living in here for 2 months at a time? I don't know how that would work. I'm not sure either of us would survive that. Could you live in there for 2 months a year?
No.
No.
Great for a weekend.
Yeah.
Good fun. But
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Walk
A little
away.
bit small. How much is that? How much is
It's
it?
20,000, I think.
Is it 20 grand? It's got the kitchen area on the back, so it's actually pretty damn cool. Well, I think that would do. That's quite an interesting. What do you think of that?
No, it's a garden house. Very cosy, but it's just a garden house.
Ah, all right. I thought that was a winner. Let's move on.
So, start at the top, aim for the bottom, never start in the middle. Again, I'm left-handed, fabulous on beetroot, and I do mean that now. Really good on things like courgettes.
It's stands like that really make a show like this, isn't it? Someone who's got something magical. Whenever you come to a show, do you find the same thing? By the end of the day, you start to see everyone walking around with the same weird and wonderful gadget. We went to a show a few years ago, and at the end of the day, everyone was walking around pulling trucks. You know, where do those trucks come from? Then we got to the stand, and we wanted a truck, but we managed to just about avoid the temptation of going for it. But those guys really do make a show like this, I think. So we're on the Chausson stand, French manufacturer, and this is one we were actually interested in ourselves. This is called the 660, and interesting to see that actually Chausson seems to be the most popular stand we've seen here. So it's got a garage on the back, which is nice, but one really cool feature, relatively small motorhome, has actually got a back door. So you can walk in the back door, you've got storage options here, lots of storage, and drawers across the back. I think that's the only motorhome I've ever seen in the UK that's got a back door. Oh, there's Sarah, look, enjoying herself. Really cool table idea, where you unfold the leaves where you need them. Yeah, this feels like a really nice place to be. Little seat here for me, and you can look back and see that you've got a kitchen back there and a washroom as well. The bed is above me right here. So I'm interested to know, what do you think? Is this a kind of motorhome you could live in? It's got a large capacity fridge. I know that because it says it on there. A sink and another bathroom area similar to the one that we saw in the last motorhome. And you've got the shower one side there, and the other side you've got your toilet and place to have a wash. What do you think? Pretty cool. Come on, Sarah, let's leave out the back. So, Sarah, question for you is, could you live for 2 or 3 months a year in that motorhome?
Yes, I know we've looked at these online a lot.
Yep.
And yes, the configuration of that, and because you can move the lounge around a bit, all different footrests, and just got that flexible arms for the sofa.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
There's a similar model over here, can show you what the bed looks like when the bed's down. So it's actually pretty cool. It takes up obviously the whole lounge area. You haven't got to climb into bed, you can just step into bed. So that is the Chausson 660 titanium, and let's talk about price, because that's where it gets a little bit more exciting, isn't it? So the price of that, just under 74,000 quid. Sarah just said to me, this is the one. Question, are we going to get out of this show today having not bought a motorhome? As we said at the start of the video, we got flights booked. We're leaving the UK very soon. Last thing we need, she's following me. Last thing we need is a motorhome. She's following me. She's going to force me to put a deposit down. Yes, everybody just keep walking. I think I'm losing her. I think I'm losing her. We do not want to be buying a motorhome today, I'm going around here. So the issue with tiny living, and that's the kind of thing we're looking at today as well, is a lot of these places, they'll have a front door but no back door, which I think can be a fire risk. So I've just found the perfect tiny home. Let's have a look around here. As I say, it's got a front door, which is really good. It's fairly spacious in here. So what we got here? Oh, lovely corner sofa and an island in the kitchen. Wow, that kitchen must be 20 foot by maybe 30 feet, I would say. And a water feature running down the back wall looks absolutely wonderful. But the nice thing is, it's got a back door too. So it's small, it's very difficult to sleep in there, I would say, but it's something that's certainly on the list.
So there you have it. We've looked at a few different options.
Yeah, we've now come back to my dad's house down here in Swindon. Things are looking a bit stark here. Tried to get an exciting backdrop. It's as exciting as we could get. It's called Magnolia. Hope it's going to catch on someday. So we're going to go through some of the tangible and intangible benefits of owning a motorhome as intrepid world travellers like us. And once we've done that, we'll then get into the nitty-gritty of the underlying costs of doing something like this.
And for the first tangible benefit, this will give us a base. Like we've said in the other options in these videos, it will give us something that we can call our own, and we can store things there and store clothing. So when we come to choose our travel destinations, we'll have a wardrobe to choose from.
Yeah, it's a good one. Then next, this actually gives us an opportunity to go roam around Europe.
We're doing that still.
Yeah, I think we will keep going to go roam. Just get that into your psyche, to go roam. And it will allow us to do that, but not necessarily to go roam around the world. I know there are people...
It's going to keep coming, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, but there are people that use motorhomes to go roaming around the world. In fact, we met two of them today. Some really good friends of ours from Australia. They know who they are. If you're watching, hi. But for us, we would treat it as something that we'd use to travel around the UK, Ireland, and across onto the continent of Europe. This gets you directly into places that you can't get to in other ways. So if you're into hiking, you can park up in a location and start hiking where you are. And as you know, the cost of accommodation in Europe and in the UK is through the roof. So if you can utilise something like this to actually see all of Europe and all of the UK in your own little home, in your own little motorhome, then that's got to be good, isn't it? So what about tangible benefits, Sarah?
Well, we owned a motorhome once before and we absolutely loved it. And there is something about being inside your motorhome when it's absolutely tipping down outside and you're protected from those elements. You can hear the rain on the roof and it's all nice and cosy in your motorhome.
And the other thing is around personalisation. We travel the world staying in hotels and Airbnbs, and a lot of them look fantastic, but they're not our style.
No.
So we go in there and go, wow, we love this, but what we do is this, or we do that. So the nice thing about having your own motorhome is you can kind of pimp it out your own way. And that would be something I think we get a lot of fun from doing as well.
But all this comes with a cost, and if we were looking to buy a brand new motorhome, you'd be looking at around, well, between £65,000 to £80,000.
But with us being more frugal types, we'd likely get something maybe 2 or 3 years old. That way you're looking more 50,000 to 65,000 as your upfront cost. Now, with the motorhome, it's very similar to the narrowboat situation, that you have got this big cost up front. But if you're not keeping it forever, you will sell that and be able to realise some benefits. So if we bought something for 50,000, we might sell it in 2 or 3 years' time for 35,000. In the UK, there are many ways of doing motorhoming. Most people, I think, tend to just stick to the organised sites. So people use things like the Caravan and Camping Club or the Motorhome club, something like that, and go on those sites every night. But obviously that comes at a cost. An alternate to that is there's this thing in the UK where you can do pub stops, and there are pubs that kind of open up their car park so that you can stay there for the night. But what you've got to do in return is ensure at least you go in there and buy a pint, so it's a bit of a reciprocal agreement like that.
Then there's those who travel to Europe and make use of an air, and these are significantly cheaper than the organised formal caravan sites, but you can park there and get the basics, the water, electric, dispose of your waste, and that's a really cost-effective way to travel through Europe.
Yeah, so it's often laid on by local councils in towns, so they're normally located really well right in the centre. Not very attractive, but a great place to put yourself. Then there's the wild camper. So these are people who have got solar on the roof and they're topping up the solar and topping up their batteries all the time. They get water when they can, and they're parking off-grid all around Europe. In the UK, that's not really an option. I think it's actually illegal to wild camp in the UK. There are places where people do it and people get away with it, but if you're looking for an easygoing life, then being kind of a urban street camper in the UK can be a little bit challenging. So let's split this into two, and that is having a motorhome and touring UK, having a motorhome and touring Europe. Now, the way Sarah and I would likely do this is we'd have the motorhome, we'd probably spend a month in the UK each year and probably going around seeing friends, and then maybe 2 months touring Europe before parking it back up again and heading out on our more intrepid travels across the globe. So what would that look like cost-wise? Well, when in the UK, we would likely spend 4 or 5 nights on an organised campsite.
You get all the facilities and just makes it a bit easier.
Yeah, and then the remaining nights each week would be in a pub stop type location. So
you have to then you have to buy your beer. But you're buying that anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you have to buy a dinner or lunch.
We're the kind of people who go to pubs anyway, so that's not going to be that's a zero cost for us. So I would say £450 in the UK would be a reasonable cost of where we site a motorhome every night. If, however, we were in Europe, we would be on airs and doing wild camping, and that reduces significantly, maybe down to £200.
And the next category is fuel. So this really does depend on what sort of travel and what type of traveller you are, really. So if you're doing tour around Europe, you're obviously going to spend more on fuel. So there's also gas to consider. You're going to need LPG gas for cooking and some motorhome heaters. For us, we'd be looking at probably around £300 because we wouldn't travel too far long distance. We'd be doing slow travelling, so that would involve just one long journey every so often.
Next is insurance. Now, we've spoken to a few people in the industry when we were at the Motorhome show just to get some general costs on this, and insurance would be around £400 a year for the type of motorhome that we'd be looking at. And then after that, you've got servicing and maintenance. And we've been told to budget between £500 to £1,000 a year on that. So on a nice cheap year, that would be £500. On an expensive year, that would be £1,000.
If we take some other items and put them into the category of running costs, that would be things like annual MOT, which is a check of your vehicle, make sure it's roadworthy, and there will be the road tax, that's every year, and also the breakdown cover, which would be wise to have. And that, we reckon, would be about £500.
Yeah, that's right. And then is storage of your motorhome when you're not driving it is an important point, actually, because I remember when we had a motorhome before, this was a little bit of a challenge. Do you want to park it in an outside storage facility here in the UK with rain coming down and snow on it when you're 1,000 miles away? That's a bit of a challenge. So we would probably try and find indoor storage. Also, the other challenge around storage is you're not there and someone could be driving their motorhome or caravan around and dink into yours, you know nothing about it.
That happened to somebody we know. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's another little challenge to think about. But we've been reliably informed we'd be able to get good quality location for storage for £400 a year. And that would also be expected by your insurance company that you're insuring your motorhome with. And then the last one, well, this is not a cost as such. This is more a word to the wise, because we've been here, we've done this before.
We sure have.
Once you've got a motorhome, you then can easily fall into the whole nesting situation. And that's when you think, oh, I don't just want a bucket,
No.
I want a collapsical
Yeah,
bucket.
I'm not. You said it.
That's because that's what she's made me do.
I cannot
Pure
say. Well, I'm going to try and say it now. Collapsible. I just come up with clapsicle.
Collapsical. So
I
a
knew you'd say
collapsical
it.
bucket. And you say, oh, well, it'd be nice to have a nice little picture on the wall there.
You
And
can just
bit
go
by
mad because
bit,
it's your home.
You buy stuff and buy stuff. So
Yeah.
you just have to know yourself, how easy do you find it to avoid wasting money on stuff? If you're good at that,
But
there's no
some of
cost
those
in this
things are
category.
really practical items that you cannot be without. When
Such
you're,
as?
The collapsible.
Collapsible bucket.
There's the washing up bowl, the bucket, the
washing up bowl.
kettle,
What sort of washing up bowl do you go for?
collapsicle.
Collapsical. A collapsical washing up. These are the
A
things you
kettle
need.
that collapses.
So Sarah, I'm thinking that probably if we had a motorhome, we would likely not do what we've just said. What we would do is buy a motorhome at the point in our travels around the world where we want to spend 2 or 3 years in Europe.
Absolutely. Yep.
Then what we do is buy a motorhome and stay in it for 2 to 3 years, live in it.
Yeah.
So we'll be in the
Go further
UK,
afield,
over to
yeah.
Ireland, back into the UK,
Yeah.
up to Norway,
Yeah.
Sweden, France, down to Spain, Portugal, go across to Turkey, even Eastern Europe, and do that kind of stuff.
A full-on.
Yeah, because it always worries me getting mice and stuff like that in your van when you're leaving it in storage.
Yes.
So we're interested to know how you would do it. First of all, would a motorhome be the right kind of thing for you? And secondly, would you do it by putting it in storage and then taking it out when you need it, or would you use it to travel around long term? Obviously, you've got Schengen to think about and also UK visa rules to think about, but there are places you can go to around Europe that kind of take you out of those zones where you can level out your year a little bit.
We really hope this option of owning a motorhome has piqued your interest.
Absolutely, and this is the second in the series. We've got a third, even more unusual thing to look at as a living option that you're going to see next week. Then after that, we're making a comparison video where we're going to put narrowboat, which was last week, this one, motorhome, next week's, which is a little secret. Actually, it's a secret, but if you want to guess, put it in the comments. Let us know. Let's see if you're right. And then we're going to compare it all together. So don't make any decisions yet until you see our comparison. Also, don't go thinking, well, I'm in the US or I'm in Canada or wherever you are in the world. I can't do that. Yeah, you can. You can buy a motorhome in the UK. You're kind of bound by a lot of the rules that we are in and out of Europe. So as long as you can work the system, you can do this.
We'll see you next time. You've been watching To Go Rome. Bye for now.
Bye.